Hey everyone. It appears Cassie Dill got suspended again. Her new account, Here the Dill, has been suspended. And I'm making this video because once word gets out that she's been resuspended, and this happens in the atheist community and it happens in the Christian community, are these little lemming comments that are happy the other side got false flagged, mass DMCA'd, whatever. And before it gets popularized and all the lemming comments start getting posted everywhere that, since she's part of the other side, that she deserves it, and we start getting a bunch of lemming comments from the other side saying they hope we get it, I would just like to say that at some point I would honestly hope YouTube realizes and at least put some measures in place to pick up when somebody gets mass flagged, and instead of having some, because I'll be honest with you, it looks like that they have an auto suspend in place, and where if too many people start flagging your videos, they just suspend your account. It's automated. And if you think that doesn't happen, understand that when I was on GameFAQs back in August of 2001, there was an auto suspend feature where people could mass mark, as they called it, mass flagging, same thing. And they can get your account suspended that way. And it didn't stop until a bunch of guys decided to mass flag and suspend the site creator and administrator. They thought it was a funny joke, but there went the automated feature. My question is for YouTube, is that what it's going to take to open your eyes? Would someone have to dig up a YouTube employee's account and mass flag it into suspension for you guys to wake up? Now, I know there are some people out there who are going to open their mouths and say something very stupid, which is that YouTube is private property, so free speech doesn't apply. They can suspend you because they don't like your face. And honestly, this is one of the biggest problems with private ownership of the only real audience grabber on the net. Because, let's be honest here, if I were to, say, decide to go somewhere else, or if Cassie were to decide to go somewhere else, or GearUp, who still doesn't have any videos up because of all the DMCAs, and I don't blame them for that. I probably would be doing the same thing. I mean, the question comes up is, where am I going to get an audience? YouTube knows that it can do whatever the hell it wants to us, or not do whatever it doesn't want to do. And it basically becomes the law of the land. It's not the law of the land in that some legislature didn't pass a law, but the on-the-ground situation is no different. Obviously, Cassie is being hounded by people who are doing this, and they know they're going to keep doing it, and YouTube's going to just do nothing. YouTube is an enabling parent. I've seen Cassie Dill's videos. All right, yes, she spews a lot of stupid stuff. She believes that 9/11 was an inside job. She thinks that the government is poisoning the water supply. I mean, we could go into I could go into lots of other stuff. But the fact of the matter is, I can understand that there are some things you don't want on YouTube. You don't want child porn on here. You don't want the white racist terrorists on here. You don't. There are good reasons to keep that stuff off. And the good reason is called legal liability. But to go after someone just because they think 9/11 is an inside job, no harm, no foul. But YouTube doesn't understand that, and they choose not to understand that. They run the internet like they think they fucking own it. I can honestly hope that it doesn't take something like a YouTube employee losing their account for them to realize, hey, gee, you know what? Maybe we should treat our user base a little bit better. Because if that's what it takes, then we're never going to get reform. Not around here. Because if that's what it takes, then the troublemakers will just never go that far. You know, when the boundary line is so way out in the distance, away from the action, it's no different than not having a boundary line at all. So, YouTube, today you fail. Because even though Cassie Dill will never ever be on my short list of friends in real life or on the internet, the fact of the matter is, when it can happen to her, it can happen to any one of us. And I take no pride in it. I don't care if it happens to Thunderfoot and DPR Jones on our side of the aisle, so to speak, or if it happens to the Gear Ups and the Cassie Dills and whoever else you can name. It ought to be a problem anytime it happens. And you ought to have real live people looking at every single flag. And I don't care what your help files say. Obviously, you don't really have people looking at every flag for this to happen. Of course, last year, in August, DPR Jones made a video in which a character called Incesum666 openly stated that you two were dumbasses, that you guys were dumbasses, that if a bunch of people flag videos, the account will just get suspended, and that he even listed a bunch of channels he wanted to take down. Now, what happened in the aftermath of that? Well, only one channel actually got taken down, and that was Define Metal. And has he gotten his channel back? Well, why don't we take a look? Let's see. Let's see if the poor guy ever got his channel back, even though he was completely innocent victim of this Define Metal. I don't think he has. Oop. Sorry about that. Misspelled Define Metal. Nope, the account's still suspended. Now, I mean, you guys obviously aren't checking this stuff. All these months later, almost a full year later, and nobody got around to checking this suspended account to see if he actually did anything. So, Cassie, if you're watching this, my heart goes out to you a little bit. Because again, like I said, I could be next. In fact, my channel is not even really off the ground right now. I only have about 160 subs, which means I'm like a D-list target right now. I wouldn't be worth taking down. But at some point, I mean, it's almost become a rite of passage that this has to happen to people. And YouTube just buries its head in the sand, doesn't give a shit, doesn't give a damn. I mean, you would think that you would care what's going on your website. You would think that you'd want to pay better attention, especially when you have a $1 billion lawsuit from Viacom because people kept posting up Family Guy episodes in full. And when DMCA'd for that, YouTube wanted to waffle. They wanted to keep them up. I pointed that out in a previous video. YouTube can waffle when it comes to being DMCA'd for the stuff that the DMCA was actually written for to take down. But when it comes to throwing your personal information to identity thieves, stalkers, you know, the guy could be Ted Bundy looking for new victims in the internet age. So I'm reaching the 10-minute limit. But I especially want to, first of all, say, Cassie, I hope this works out for you. And if you don't decide not to come back to YouTube, I suppose I can't blame you. I mean, I can imagine being in your spot. If I had 3 accounts suspended in less than a year, in less than a few months actually, in fact it was just 2 months, then I'd be tempted to say to hell with this and just leave. You know, I would totally understand that. The other people I want to point out, and I really hate seeing it, but the people I also want to call out, but this time in a not-so-friendly way, are, like I said, the lemmings. The people who are like, well, you know what? Cassie Dale's so dumb. She's probably one of the people who DMCA'd DPR Jones or some other stupid allegation. And then they spread it around. It goes around like wildfire. You guys are giving us a bad name. You really are. You don't know who mass flagged her, and it's probably just a couple of troublemakers who are neither YouTube atheists or YouTube Christians. Probably just a couple of, I've compared them to arsonists in the past. They start this whole great big fire, and they get off watching the aftermath. So I got to go. Take care of yourselves, everyone. And we're skeptics till the day we die.